Hello, friends. We are back after I've had a couple of days of no internet due to the tornadoes. Okay, we've got a few videos today.
Most people, when they want to say no and they don't know how to say it, will try to become victim-y and say, I can't because of this, this, and this. I love this quote from Julius Caesar, Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, where his wife says, don't go to the Senate. I had a horrible nightmare. You're going to get stabbed. So the guy comes to get him and he says, go tell the council Caesar will not come. That I cannot is false. That I dare not, falser still. No, go tell the council Caesar will not come. There have been really good studies that show that to get out of depression, one study had control group, a group that had therapy, a group that had meds, and a group that did nothing but eliminate the words I can't and I have to from their responses. Instead, they had to say, I choose not to, I choose to, I will, I won't. And they came out of their depression faster than any of the other groups. Every verbal thing we say that is not true hurts our bodies, hurts our psyches, and leads us to anxiety and depression.
This is something that I do with my clients, make them more aware of their language, because language, the words that you speak, can be either empowering or disempowering, or it can just be neutral. But when you use words that are disempowering, remember, words cast spells. So when my clients say things like, I'll try, I have to bring them into awareness too of there is no try. You either do something or you don't do it. The try is sort of like an excuse for the mind not to follow through on something. So you get to choose. And that is incredibly powerful. Instead of saying, I have to, I need to, oh, I can't, all these disempowering words, I should, or I'll try. These are the things that I bring awareness to with my clients, because the higher their level of conscious awareness, the more empowering choices they make. And at first, these choices and these little kind of 1% improvements might be conscious, but after a while, they just become habit. They just become natural to you in how you think and what you believe and the words and the language that you speak. And many times when someone speaks, if I'm in a consultation or a coaching session, I can pick up a lot from what is not said. And that's the mark of really like a good coach. When I first got into coaching, it's one of the things that I learned was not just active listening to what's being said, but most powerfully what isn't being said that is there. We got a clip next from our friend Tony
People
Robbins.
that have been through the most horrific, there have been people that have been through the most horrific experiences in life, and they found a way to still be happy because they've made the decision that life is too short to suffer. And the way I get out of suffering, I give myself a 90-second rule. If I feel myself starting to feel that stress, feeling that pissed offness or upsetness or concern or worry about my kid, whatever, I realize that's not going to make it better. Life's too short to suffer. And then I just kind of breathe slowly, slow everything down, and I just watch the thought go by and go, look at that crazy thought. It's the thoughts that are stressful that you believe that mess you up. When you question them, you break the pattern. And
Yes. So we'll hear him out in a second, like the rest of what he's going to say. But this comes back to something I've been sharing with you guys. I do this with my clients a lot, and it's something that I've practiced since very, very early on in my journey, when I realized I could even control the way that I was feeling, that I could engineer my emotions and understand them. It was really, really empowering for me at the time, because I was just such an angry person. I was just like, I just lived in victim mode, or I was angry. I was very reactive. And so when I learned this skill through the teachings of Abraham and some other people like, Tony Robbins and other teachers, this was a huge game changer, because it meant that I can change the way that I feel. And it's also something that I do with my clients, is I teach them how to increase their bounce back rate, monitoring it first of all, and then getting their bounce back rate up quicker and quicker and quicker, where they're processing their emotions, understanding their emotions. They are able to get to a healthier baseline quicker and quicker and quicker. Because like he said, so his thing is 90 seconds, right? He's been in the game for decades. Yeah. I think coaching with him is like, I don't know now, but I know many years ago, he said that his coaching was about $1 million a year. It's probably more than that now. So, he's a veteran. He's been in the game for a long time. But even someone like myself, who's been in this game for about 15 years, my bounce back rate certain days is better than others, but it's much, much, much quicker. This is why I'm able to process this. It's not about suppression of emotions. It's about understanding the thoughts, the emotions or beliefs. It's about understanding where you are emotionally and being able to flip switch out of it quickly. And sometimes it really is just a perspective shift, but having tools like the ones that I share with my clients, the ones that I use all the time, it helps to make emotions very tangible. So yeah, you get to choose. Like I say to my clients all the time, you get to choose whether you are at an emotional state for 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days, 10 months. Like, it's up to you. You get to choose that.
And the last thing besides the 90 seconds, and by the way, Richard, to be honest, in the beginning, it should have been like 4-hour rule, maybe a 4-day rule. I was not very good. But what's nice is the more.
Okay, yes, even that he's saying in the beginning, it might take him 4 hours or 4 days, to shift out of a state. It's about understanding.
The more I've done it's like a muscle. The more I've trained myself to do it, I can authentically tell you now, it takes a lot for something to take more than 90 seconds for me now. And the level of joy surpasses all the money you could ever have in a million years.
Okay, so I'm going to share with you my screen. This emotional scale from Abraham Hicks, the book Asking It Is Given. The bounce back rate. So this is what I'm talking about. He's talking about joy. Joy is at number 1. It's there with appreciation, with empowerment, with freedom, love, knowledge. When you feel any of these lower emotions, what he said about not believing everything you think is very, very important, because your thoughts can bring you right down to fear, right down to grief and depression and despair and powerlessness. And you don't want to create your life from there, because you're going to get results that are going to just keep you right there. So you do want to understand them, and you do want to identify the thoughts that taking you there. To be able to do the flip switch is identifying the thoughts and not believing everything that you think. And if you are chronically going back to the same place because you have the same chronic thought, that might require you to actually do a little analysis, actually sit down with a journal, sit down with a coach or someone, and sit down and dissect that. Dissect the core of it, dissect how long you've been having that thought, where it comes from. Are there beliefs that support that thought? How frequently you have that thought? What emotional state that thought brings you to? And once you've dissected it, replacing any negative beliefs. So you can upgrade your belief systems, you can upgrade your language and your thoughts and the quality of thoughts. You can decide, okay, I know this thought brings me down here. I am deciding and declaring once and for all, I am not going to entertain this thought anymore. When it comes, I'm going to allow it to come and pass by like a cloud. I am not going to absorb and believe and live with this thought like all the time in my mind. I'm going to just flip switch the thought, right? This is a practice. That's why he said it's like a muscle, because it absolutely is. I have seen people in depression in like level 22, and they've been there for months or years, right? In some cases, decades. And by practicing this and by practicing certain mindset, and I do dissect with my clients, like their background, their lifestyle, what matters to them, their values, because then we can create the mindset that matches their vision. They get to authentically create new ways of thinking and believing for them that brings them up to the top 5 emotional states here you see on this emotional scale. So it's incredibly empowering, because when they do this consistently, they end up there consistently, and that becomes their new baseline. And from their new baseline of living in the top 5 emotions, they're able to tell very, very quickly when they're in other emotional states. And again, they get to choose. This is the most empowering thing, is that you get to choose how long you are there for. Okay.
It's healthy, the personality, the less flexible that it is. So very healthy people have extraordinarily flexible personalities. So the core of mental health is flexibility. It's almost like physical health, right? A person who's physically healthy has a lot of flexibility in their muscles and joints. A mentally healthy person has a lot of flexibility in their psyche.
How do we define flexibility in our psyche?
I would say it's an adaptability. It is a self-awareness and awareness of others. It's the ability to engage in novel problem solving and not get stuck on a singular solution. It's the capacity to be able to self-regulate and to self-soothe. When there's disappointment, there's the capacity to cope with it. That is the core of health. I've worked with people who have survived severe trauma. The ones who really are standing in a different way, it's that flexibility, right? And you think about it. If a tree is flexible, it'll bend with the wind.
Okay. Myself included, like I used to be living right down there in 22, right? That was just my state of being, that I wasn't I wasn't aware I could change it. I was just living there. I have worked with many people who have had incredible disappointment in their life. Look where that is at 12. They've had incredible pain. They've gone through a lot of grief, right? They've gone through a lot of things in their life. Discouragement. They've gone through a lot of things that make them feel unworthy or insecure about who they are. But it's the willingness. It's really the willingness. Sometimes people have gone through a fraction of what somebody else has gone through, and yet they are just obsessed with living down here. They are so committed to it. They say they want a solution, but they don't. They're more committed to what brings them down here. They're more committed to their past. They're more committed to their limitations. They're more committed to their depression than they are their empowerment. But the people who they've been through such painful, extreme trauma, they've been through so much pain, they've been through so much disappointment in their life, but they have a willingness to, they are more committed to engineering their life and living their best life in the higher states. And it is a journey. Absolutely it is. Otherwise, no one would ever need a therapist or a coach, or all these people that are on medications. And if they're not on medications, they've got other addictions. They try and cope, all these different coping mechanisms, right? Some people shop, some people it's porn, some people it's social media, some people it's food, some people it's alcohol, some people it's drugs, all these different vices. But really it's that learning, what she was saying about self-soothing. When you're going through things, self-soothing, understanding yourself, knowledge of self. What is it that brings you down to these lower states of emotion? And one thing I found is that people that do this kind of work, one place that we rarely ever find ourselves in, maybe once every, I don't know, several years or something, is boredom. Because when you are practicing being more present, you're practicing raising your consciousness, you are living your life consciously, this doesn't really come about. So you learn to engineer yourself up here. And honestly, the most beautiful thing is that within 3 to 6 months, most people, no matter how severe, it's not what they've gone through, right? Is their willingness and their desire to feel better, to think better, to actually organically and in a really honest way with themselves to engineer and construct, like create new foundations in their life, get rid of the old, build the new, and really understand themselves so that they can, within 3 to 6 months, go from living down here to living up here. Because that way, these emotions just become your guidance. They become your guidance, and you no longer have to just live here. You understand they're just emotions that come from thoughts, whether it's a thought of what's happened, what has happened in the past, what's currently happening, worried about what is going to happen, whatever it is, if it's about a person or situation or an idea, whatever, you have the ability to not just self-soothe, but you have the flexibility, right, to actually change your thinking, and that your thinking will change your biochemistry. With that, I will say, if you've made it up tonight, give me a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you think. If you want to dive deeper in your own personal self-mastery, I'll put a link below where you can book your coaching session with me, and we can get you to the next level of your life by becoming the next level of you. All right. Until next time, you guys, lots of love. Bye.